Imagine a world without history, a world where we have no knowledge of the past or the lessons learned from it. The concept of history is much more than just a collection of dates and events. It's a complex tapestry woven from countless threads of human experience, shaping our present and informing our future. The origins of history take us back to the dawn of human civilization, to our earliest attempts at understanding and documenting the world around us. From cave paintings and oral traditions to the advent of written records, history has evolved in fascinating ways. It has been shaped by ancient cultures, influenced by wars and revolutions, and transformed by technological advancements. The question we ask today is, how did the concept of history originate and how has it evolved over time? So, buckle up your seatbelts and join us on this journey as we delve into the roots of historical storytelling. Long before the invention of writing, early humans were already telling their stories. As we delve into the world of prehistoric narratives, we find ourselves tracing back to a time where history was not written, but expressed through other forms of communication. We begin our journey in the depths of ancient caves, where the earliest stories were told through intricate paintings. These cave paintings served as visual narratives encapsulating the daily lives of our ancestors. The hunting scenes, the portrayal of animals, and the depiction of human figures all tell stories of survival, culture, and community. These primitive artworks, found in places like the Lascaux Caves in France or the Altamira Caves in Spain, are our first glimpses into the past, offering a window into a world that existed tens of thousands of years ago. But the stories of our ancestors were not only confined to the walls of caves, they also thrived in the spoken word, passed down from generation to generation through oral traditions. These tales, told around the glow of a fire or under the canopy of a starlit night, were the early seeds of human history. They contain not only accounts of past events, but also shared wisdom, morals, and cultural norms, shaping the collective memory of early societies. In the absence of written language, these oral narratives were a crucial means of communication. They were also highly flexible, evolving and adapting as they were retold over time, reflecting the dynamic nature of human societies. From tales of heroic hunts to stories of celestial beings, these narratives were as diverse as the people who told them. Alongside these oral traditions, we find the enduring presence of myths and legends. These stories, often imbued with supernatural elements, played a vital role in shaping the collective memory of prehistoric societies. Myths and legends served multiple purposes. They explained the mysteries of the natural world, provided moral guidance, and helped establish social norms. They also offered a sense of identity and belonging to the people within these societies. For example, the Aboriginal Dreamtime stories from Australia, which tell of ancestral beings who created the world, are more than mere tales. They are a complex blend of history, culture, religion, and lore. Similarly, the epic tales of gods and heroes in Greek mythology, although they emerged in a later period, were deeply rooted in this tradition of storytelling that sought to make sense of the world and human existence. As we move forward in time, we come across early civilizations that began to develop more structured ways of recording events. The Sumerians, Egyptians, and Indus Valley civilizations, to name a few, were pioneers in this regard. They created forms of symbolic communication, such as the use of tokens or seals, which were precursors to written language. These early methods of recording events were often tied to practical needs, such as keeping track of goods or recording transactions. But they also marked a significant shift towards more concrete forms of historical expression. In ancient China, for instance, we find the use of oracle bones, which were used for divination but also contained inscriptions of events, making them one of the earliest examples of recorded history. Similarly, in ancient Mesopotamia, we see the use of clay tablets for administrative purposes, which over time became a medium for recording historical events as well. These early forms of recording events were not history as we understand it today. They were often fragmented, focused on the immediate needs of the society, and lacked a broader perspective of time and place. Yet they were critical steps towards the establishment of history as a systematic record of the past. In these prehistoric narratives, we see the beginnings of a human endeavor that continues to this day. The desire to understand our past, to make sense of our present, and to shape our future. From cave paintings to oral traditions, from myths and legends to early forms of recording events, Each element contributes to the rich tapestry of human history. At this stage, it's important to remember that these narratives were not mere static records of the past. They were living, breathing stories, constantly evolving and adapting to the changing circumstances of human societies. They were also highly subjective, shaped by the perspectives and biases of the people who told them. This subjectivity, far from being a flaw, is a fundamental aspect of historical storytelling. It reminds us that history is not an objective truth, but a complex interplay of different voices, experiences, and perspectives. As we conclude our exploration of prehistoric narratives, we are left with a profound appreciation for these early expressions of history. They remind us of our shared human heritage, our innate desire to tell stories, and our ceaseless quest to understand our place in the world. These primitive expressions of history laid the foundation for the evolution of historical storytelling. And as we move forward in our journey, we will see how this foundation paved the way for the birth of written history, the development of historiography, and the ongoing evolution of historical thinking. The invention of writing was a game changer in the recording of history. Imagine a world where information was not just passed down orally, subject to the whims of memory and interpretation, but could be etched in stone, inked on parchment, or baked into clay tablets. This was the world that began to take shape in ancient civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley. In the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia, the Sumerians developed a writing system known as cuneiform around the 4th millennium BCE. This wedge-shaped script etched into clay tablets was initially used for record keeping, such as documenting trade transactions or tracking property. But over time, these administrative records began to include more than just numbers and lists. They started to tell stories, record laws, and describe significant events, marking the beginning of written history. Meanwhile, along the fertile banks of the Nile River, the ancient Egyptians were developing their own system of writing. Hieroglyphics, derived from the Greek words hieros, meaning sacred, and glyphein, meaning to carve, hieroglyphics were primarily used for religious texts and monumental inscriptions. Yet they also served to chronicle the reigns of pharaohs, significant events, and daily life, thus contributing to the written record of history. Over in the Indus Valley, one of the 3 earliest cradles of civilizations, we find yet another early writing system. Although the Indus script remains undeciphered, we know from the many seals and tablets found that the civilization had a robust system for recording information. These civilizations, each in their own way, were laying the groundwork for the systematic recording of history. Yet the transition from recording mundane administrative details to chronicling significant historical events wasn't instantaneous. It was a gradual process influenced by societal changes, technological advancements, and the need to understand the world beyond the immediate present. The advent of historical chronicles and annals marked a significant leap in this evolution. Chronicles, for instance, began as mere listings of events, often arranged in chronological order. The Sumerian king list, dating back to approximately 2100 BCE, is an early example. It listed rulers from the dawn of time to the then contemporary Sumerian dynasties, establishing a narrative of political authority and continuity. In ancient Egypt, annals like the Palermo stone recorded the reigns of pharaohs along with significant events of each year. These chronicles and annals provided a framework for understanding the past in relation to the present, setting the stage for more elaborate historical writings. The development of alphabetic writing systems further propelled the birth of written history. The Phoenician alphabet, for example, was simpler and more accessible than hieroglyphics or cuneiform, leading to increased literacy. This in turn paved the way for a broader range of historical narratives, encompassing not just the deeds of kings and pharaohs, but also the experiences of everyday people. As we move forward in time, we see the emergence of more systematic historical writings. In ancient China, the records of the Grand Historian, written by Sima Qian in the 1st century BCE, combined chronological narrative with thematic treatment of historical events. This marked a significant step towards historiography, the study of history writing itself, which we will explore further in our journey. By the time the quill was set down on the last line of an early chronicle or annal, a profound shift had occurred. History was no longer just a collection of orally transmitted tales or lists of kings. It was a written record, a tangible link to the past that could be read, interpreted, and built upon by future generations. In the grand tapestry of human history, the birth of written history was a pivotal thread. It transformed our understanding of time, our perception of the past, and our place within the continuum of human existence. From the cuneiform tablets of ancient Sumer to the hieroglyph-covered walls of Egyptian tombs, from the mysterious seals of the Indus Valley to the intricate chronicles of later civilizations, each piece of written history represents a stepping stone in the journey of mankind. With the birth of written history, the recording of events took a more systematic form, a form that would continue to evolve, shaped by the pens of countless scribes, historians, and scholars throughout the ages, a form that would enable us to look back, to understand our past, and to shape our future. And that, dear listeners, is the true power of written history. The Greeks took history writing a step further by introducing historiography. This was a radical shift in the way history was recorded and understood. Let's delve into this critical period in the evolution of historical thought. Ancient Greece, a civilization renowned for its contributions to philosophy, arts, and politics, also played a pivotal role in the birth of historiography. Unlike their predecessors, the Greeks sought not merely to record events, but to systematically investigate them, seeking to understand causes, effects, and broader patterns. This was a significant leap forward in the evolution of history. At the forefront of this transformation were two remarkable individuals, Herodotus and Thucydides. Both are credited with laying the foundations of Western historiography, but in distinctly different ways. Herodotus, often hailed as the father of history, was the first to approach history as an investigative endeavor. Born in Halicarnassus in the 5th century BCE, Herodotus embarked on extensive travels across the ancient world, gathering stories and accounts from diverse cultures. His seminal work, The Histories, is an expansive narrative that chronicles the conflicts between the Greek city-states and the Persian Empire. Herodotus's methodology was unique for his time. He relied on oral testimonies, eyewitness accounts, and his personal observations, attempting to verify and cross-reference these sources to construct a coherent narrative. Furthermore, he sought to provide context to the events he described, delving into the customs, geography, and legends of the peoples involved. His work, while still partly blending myth and fact, represented a significant departure from the purely mythical narratives of earlier cultures. Then came Thucydides, a contemporary of Herodotus, whose approach to history was markedly different. A participant and observer of the Peloponnesian War, Thucydides wrote a detailed chronicle of the conflict between Athens and Sparta. His work, The History of the Peloponnesian War, is regarded as a model of historical rigor and critical analysis. Thucydides was more skeptical than Herodotus, distrusting hearsay and focusing instead on empirical evidence. He aimed for objectivity, distancing himself from the events he described and avoiding the temptation to embellish or moralize. His approach was analytical, seeking to uncover the underlying patterns and causes of events. This, in essence, was the birth of historical causality, a critical component of modern historiography. These two contrasting approaches, represented by Herodotus and Thucydides, embody the tension that would characterize historiography for centuries to come. The balance between narrative and analysis, between empathy and detachment, between the particular and the universal, are debates that continue to shape the field of history. The Persian Wars and the Peloponnesian War played a significant role in shaping Greek historiography. These conflicts, involving a complex web of alliances, rivalries, and power struggles, provided rich material for historical analysis. Furthermore, they raised profound questions about human nature, morality, and the workings of power, which the Greek historians grappled with in their writings. The Persian Wars, as chronicled by Herodotus, were depicted as a grand struggle between freedom and tyranny, between the democratic city-states of Greece and the despotic Persian Empire. This narrative, with its moral and political dimensions, has deeply influenced Western historical thought. The Peloponnesian War, on the other hand, laid bare the darker side of human nature and the corrosive effects of power. Thucydides' account of the war is a sobering exploration of realpolitik, self-interest, and the inevitable tragedies of war. His work serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the perils of hubris and the fragility of civilization. In conclusion, the contributions of ancient Greece to the evolution of history are profound. The Greeks transformed history from a collection of stories and chronicles into a field of systematic inquiry. They introduced critical methodologies, explored historical causality, and grappled with the moral and philosophical implications of their narratives. They recognized that history was not just about recounting the past, but understanding it, learning from it, and drawing lessons for the present and the future. This was the birth of historiography, a discipline that has shaped our understanding of the world and our place in it. From the investigative narratives of Herodotus to the analytical rigor of Thucydides, the Greeks forged a path that would be followed by historians for centuries to come. They demonstrated that history was not just a passive record of events, but a dynamic, evolving discourse that shapes our collective memory and identity. The systematic approach to recording and analyzing historical events was born, and with it, a new understanding of history as a tool for understanding the human condition. The Greeks, with their unique blend of curiosity, skepticism, and philosophical insight, have left a lasting legacy on the field of history, one that continues to inspire and challenge us today. The Romans continued the Greek tradition of historiography, adding their own unique contributions. As we delve into the realm of Roman historians, we are greeted with prominent figures such as Livy and Tacitus. Both of these historians left indelible marks on the art of historical writing, and their works continue to resonate with us today. Titus Livius, better known as Livy, lived during the late Roman Republic and early Roman Empire. He is best known for his monumental work, Ab Urbe Condita Libri, or Books from the Foundation of the City, an ambitious endeavor covering the history of Rome from its legendary founding in 753 BC to the reign of Augustus in Livy's own time. His historical writing, steeped in moralistic overtones, served as a guide to Roman virtue. He believed that history offered moral lessons and highlighted the virtues and vices of his subjects. Livy's work is a testament to the enduring power of narrative in shaping our understanding of the past. On the other hand, we have Cornelius Tacitus, a senator and historian of the Roman Empire. Tacitus is celebrated for his concise and incisive style, his penetrating psychological insight, and his uncompromising commitment to the truth. His major works, Annals and Histories, cover the history of the Roman Empire from the reign of Tiberius to the death of Domitian. Unlike Livy, Tacitus was deeply skeptical of the virtues of the past and saw history as a record of human folly and vice. His works provided a stark counterpoint to the idealized narrative of Roman virtue. As we move forward from the era of Roman historians, we encounter a period often referred to as the Dark Ages. It was during this time that the Roman Empire fell and Europe was plunged into a period of social and cultural decline. Yet even in this period of decline, the writing of history did not cease, but took on new forms and served new purposes. Christianity, which emerged in the 1st century AD and later became the state religion of the Roman Empire, played a crucial role in preserving and shaping historical narratives during the Middle Ages. The Christian Church became the primary preserver of literacy and learning during this time. Monks in monasteries across Europe copied and preserved ancient texts, including historical works, and wrote new histories of their own. The Church, with its emphasis on the divine providence and salvation history, brought a new perspective to the writing of history. Chronicles, biographies of saints, and ecclesiastical histories became popular forms of historical writing. The works of Bede, a monk from the Kingdom of Northumbria in present-day England, exemplify this new approach to history. His ecclesiastical history of the English people not only chronicles the spread of Christianity in England, but also provides a comprehensive history of the English people. The Middle Ages also saw the rise of chronicles as a popular form of historical writing. Chronicles, often written by monks, recorded events year by year, providing a continuous record of history. Some of these chronicles, such as the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle in England and the Chronicon Helveticum in Switzerland provide invaluable insights into the political, social, and cultural life of their times. As we journey through the annals of history, we see the enduring importance of historical narratives. From the ancient Romans to the Christian monks of the Middle Ages, history has been preserved, analyzed, and transmitted to future generations. Despite the Dark Ages, history writing found a way to survive and evolve. It is through understanding these origins that we can appreciate the rich tapestry of history that continues to shape our present and guide our future. The Renaissance and Enlightenment periods marked a turning point in historical thinking. These were eras of rebirth and light, a time when Europe emerged from the so-called Dark Ages and began to re-evaluate its understanding of the world, including the past. Let's embark on a journey through these transformative periods and see how they changed the face of history forever. During the Renaissance, which spanned the 14th to the 17th century, there was a renewed interest in the classical knowledge of the Greeks and Romans. This revival was not just limited to philosophy, art, and science, but also extended to the study of history. Renaissance scholars like Leonardo Bruni and Flavio Biondo started to critically analyze historical documents and narratives, paving the way for a more systematic and scholarly approach to history. This newfound curiosity led to the emergence of critical historiography, which fundamentally changed the way history was studied and written. Historians began to critically examine their sources, cross-referencing them for accuracy and questioning their biases and assumptions. They started to scrutinize the traditional narratives, often unveiling the layers of myth and folklore that had been weaved into the historical accounts over the centuries. This was a marked departure from the earlier approach where historical accounts were often taken at face value. Now historians started to dig deeper, peeling back the layers of the past to uncover its complex and nuanced reality. The Renaissance also saw the development of new genres in historical writing. Biography, for instance, became a popular form of historical writing. These biographies often focused on illustrious individuals, emphasizing their virtues and achievements, and were instrumental in shaping the public perception of historical figures. Moving on to the Enlightenment, this was a period of intellectual and philosophical development that swept across Europe in the 18th century. It was marked by a profound faith in reason, logic, and empirical evidence. Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire, David Hume, and Edward Gibbon applied these principles to their study of history. They sought to understand the causes and effects of historical events, moving away from purely narrative accounts to more analytical ones. This shift in focus led to the development of what we now call modern historiography. History was no longer seen as a simple chronicle of past events, but as a complex web of causes and effects, of actions and reactions. It was about understanding why things happened the way they did, what forces were at play, and what lessons could be learned. But perhaps one of the most transformative developments of these periods was the advent of the printing press. Invented by Johannes Gutenberg in the mid-15th century, this technology revolutionized the dissemination of knowledge, including historical knowledge. Before the printing press, books were painstakingly copied by hand, a process that was time-consuming and expensive. As a result, they were a luxury few could afford, and the spread of knowledge was slow. But with the printing press, books could be mass-produced at a fraction of the time and cost. Suddenly, knowledge was not just for the privileged few, but for the many. This had a profound impact on historical knowledge. More people could now access historical texts, leading to a broader dissemination of historical knowledge. It also paved the way for the spread of new ideas and interpretations, fostering a more vibrant and dynamic historical discourse. Moreover, the printing press encouraged the standardization of historical texts. This meant that historical accounts could now be reproduced with greater accuracy, reducing the risk of errors and distortions that often crept in during the manual copying process. The Renaissance and Enlightenment periods thus represented a significant leap forward in the evolution of historical thinking. They ushered in a new era of critical historiography, challenging the traditional narratives and fostering a more analytical and empirical approach to studying the past. The advent of the printing press further amplified these changes. democratizing the access to historical knowledge and fostering a more vibrant and diverse historical discourse. In conclusion, the Renaissance and Enlightenment periods marked a turning point in the way we understand and interpret the past. History was now not just about recording events, but also analyzing and interpreting them. This was a profound shift that continues to shape the way we study and understand history today. So as we move forward in our exploration of the origins of history, let's keep in mind the transformative impact of these periods and their enduring legacy in the field of historical studies. The 19th and 20th centuries brought a wave of new perspectives in historical methodologies. This transformative period saw the emergence of history not just as the study of grand events and great men, but as an exploration of societal structures, cultural dynamics, and economic realities. Let's begin our journey with Leopold von Ranke, a towering figure in 19th century historiography. Ranke, a German historian, championed the concept of scientific history. He insisted on rigorous source criticism and the objective analysis of historical data. For Ranke, history was about understanding each period in its own context, a principle he termed as wie es eigentlich gewesen, or how it essentially was. Ranke's approach was a significant departure from the previous practice of using history to deliver moral lessons. Instead, he sought to present a comprehensive and unbiased portrayal of the past. This marked a shift towards professionalization in the discipline, with an emphasis on rigorous methodologies and standards of evidence. While Ranke was revolutionizing history in Germany, another intellectual giant was stirring things up in England. Karl Marx, a philosopher, economist, and historian, introduced a radically different approach to understanding history. Marx viewed history through the lens of class struggle, arguing that economic factors and social relations were the driving forces of historical change. His historical materialism, as this theory is known, gave rise to the field of social history. It expanded the scope of historical study beyond politics and wars to include the experiences of ordinary people. The working class, peasants, women, and other marginalized groups previously overlooked in historical narratives were now recognized as key players in shaping historical events. As we move into the 20th century, we encounter the Analyse school, which further broadened the horizons of historical study. Named after the French journal Annales d'histoire économique et sociale, the Analyse school rejected the traditional focus on politics and individual events. Instead, they proposed a total history, or history from below, studying long-term social structures and mentalities. Key figures of the Analyse school, like Marc Bloch and Fernand Braudel, introduced concepts like geographical time and the longue durée. These ideas emphasized the importance of spatial and temporal contexts in understanding historical phenomena. The Analyse historians also incorporated interdisciplinary methods, borrowing from sociology, anthropology, and geography, thereby further enriching the study of history. The 20th century also saw the rise of cultural history, which explores how cultural norms, ideas, and symbols shape societies. Influenced by the works of scholars like E.P. Thompson and Clifford Geertz, cultural history examines the meanings that people attach to their experiences and how these meanings influence their actions and perceptions. In the wake of the World Wars, another significant development came in the form of oral history. This approach captures the personal experiences and memories of individuals, particularly those who have been traditionally marginalized in historical narratives. The rise of oral history reflects a broader trend towards democratizing history by giving voice to the voiceless. In the latter half of the 20th century, feminist historiography emerged as a powerful force, challenging the male-dominated narratives of the past. Feminist historians like Gerda Lerner and Joan Wallach Scott have highlighted the roles and experiences of women, arguing for their inclusion in the historical narrative. This has led to a more nuanced understanding of the past, where gender dynamics play a crucial role. The 19th and 20th centuries also witnessed the rise and fall of various historical isms, from positivism to structuralism, from Marxism to postmodernism. Each of these approaches brought unique perspectives and methodologies, enriching the discipline of history. However, these centuries were not just about expanding the scope and methodology of historical study. They also brought new challenges. The The horrors of the two world wars, the Holocaust, and other atrocities forced historians to grapple with the dark side of human nature and the complexities of historical interpretation. Despite these challenges, or perhaps because of them, history has never been more vibrant or diverse. The 19th and 20th centuries have not only expanded our understanding of the past, but also reshaped how we perceive and interact with history. They have shown us that history is not just about recording the past, but about engaging with it, questioning it, and learning from it. History was no longer just the study of kings and wars, but the study of societies and cultures as well. This shift towards a more inclusive, multifaceted understanding of history is perhaps one of the greatest legacies of 19th and 20th century historiography. And as we continue to delve deeper into the past, this legacy continues to shape our understanding of the world around us. The postmodern era challenged traditional historical narratives, calling for a more inclusive history. As we entered the latter half of the 20th century, the field of history was on the brink of a seismic shift. This was the era of postmodernism, a period that questioned the grand narratives and universal truths that had dominated historical thinking. Postmodern theorists, philosophers, and historians began to argue that history is not a single objective truth, but a multitude of subjective experiences. The postmodern critique of history is rooted in the belief that all historical narratives are constructed and shaped by the biases, perspectives, and cultural contexts of the historians who write them. This means that history is not a simple retelling of the past, but a complex process of interpretation and representation. This perspective was a direct challenge to the traditional approaches of historical writing, which often claim to present an objective and factual account of the past. Postmodernists argued that such claims of objectivity were not only impossible but also misguided. Instead, they emphasized the importance of acknowledging the inherent subjectivity of historical narratives and the role of power and ideology in shaping these narratives. This shift in thinking led to a significant expansion of historical perspectives. The postmodern emphasis on diversity and representation opened the doors for new voices to enter the historical discourse. These included perspectives that had often been marginalized or ignored in traditional history, such as those of women, racial and ethnic minorities, and the LGBTQ+ community. This emphasis on diverse perspectives did not just change the content of history, it also changed the way we approach and understand history. Instead of viewing history as a linear progression of events, postmodernism encourages us to see history as a complex web of interrelated experiences and perspectives. This approach allows us to recognize and appreciate the richness and diversity of our shared past. The advent of digital technologies has further transformed the field of history. The internet has made vast amounts of historical information accessible to a global audience, democratizing the process of historical research and discovery. Digital technologies have also provided new tools and methods for recording and disseminating history. From digital archives and databases to interactive maps and virtual reality experiences. These technologies have not only made history more accessible, they have also made it more participatory. Social media platforms, blogs, and online forums have given individuals the opportunity to share their own historical narratives and engage in historical discussions. This has further diversified the field of history, incorporating a wide range of voices and perspectives. However, the digital revolution has also brought new challenges. The sheer volume of information available online can be overwhelming, making it difficult to separate reliable sources from misinformation. Digital technologies have also raised new ethical and legal questions about the ownership and use of historical materials. Despite these challenges, the impact of postmodernism and digital technologies on the field of history has been profound. They have challenged traditional notions of what constitutes history, who writes history, and how history is shared and understood. In doing so, they have made history a more inclusive, diverse, and dynamic field. As we move further into the 21st century, these trends are likely to continue. The field of history will continue to evolve and diversify, reflecting the changing world around us. This ongoing evolution is not something to be feared, but embraced. It is a testament to the richness and complexity of our shared past, and a reminder of the importance of understanding this past in all its diversity and complexity. In the words of the American historian and civil rights activist Howard Zinn, "The future is an infinite succession of presents, and to live now as we think human beings should live in defiance of all that is bad around us is itself a marvelous victory." This sentiment encapsulates the spirit of postmodern history, a history that is diverse, dynamic, and deeply human. As we continue to explore the origins of history, let us remember that history is not just about the past, it is also about the present and the future. It is about understanding where we have come from, where we are now, and where we are going. It is about recognizing the diversity and complexity of our shared experiences and using this understanding to create a better, more inclusive future. The canvas of history is now more colorful and diverse than ever before. As we have seen, the concept of history has come a long way from its primitive origins. It has been an intricate journey, one that began with prehistoric narratives, which were the first attempts of our ancestors to document their experiences and share their stories. The cave paintings, oral traditions, and early forms of communication they used were their ways of expressing their understanding of the world around them. Myths and legends, too, held a significant role in shaping collective memory, providing a shared sense of identity and understanding of the world. Then came the birth of written history, a pivotal moment that forever changed the course of historical record-keeping. Ancient civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley were instrumental in this transition from oral traditions to written records. Their contributions in the form of cuneiform, hieroglyphics, and other early writing systems laid the foundations for the historical chronicles and annals that would follow. The development of historiography as a systematic approach to recording and analyzing historical events marked another significant milestone in the evolution of history. Here we saw the profound influence of ancient Greek historians, particularly Herodotus and Thucydides. Their analytical approach, coupled with the impact of significant events like the Persian Wars and the Peloponnesian War, shaped historical narratives in a significant way. The influence of Roman historians and the role of Christianity during the Middle Ages further shaped the course of history. Historians like Livy and Tacitus left indelible imprints on historical writing, while Christianity played a crucial role in preserving and shaping historical narratives. The rise of chronicles, biographies, and ecclesiastical histories during this period added more depth and richness to the historical record. The Renaissance and Enlightenment periods brought about a shift in historical thinking. The emergence of critical historiography and the questioning of traditional historical narratives led to a more comprehensive understanding of history. The impact of printing technology also cannot be overstated, as it revolutionized the dissemination of historical knowledge, making it more accessible to the masses. The evolution of historical methodologies continued in the 19th and 20th centuries. The influence of social, economic, and cultural history brought new perspectives and dimensions to the study of history. Key figures like Ranke, Marx, and the Annalist school played significant roles in shaping these new methodologies. In the contemporary era, postmodernism has posed significant challenges to traditional historical narratives, prompting a re-evaluation and reinterpretation of history. The emphasis on diverse voices and perspectives has led to a more inclusive history, reflecting a broader range of experiences and viewpoints. The impact of digital technologies on the recording and dissemination of historical information has also been profound, transforming the way history is consumed and understood. In sum, the concept of history has not just evolved, but continues to evolve. It's a journey of understanding, of questioning, of reinterpreting. It's about looking back to see how far we've come and looking forward to see where we're heading. This ongoing evolution of historical thinking is crucial in helping us make sense of our world. It allows us to see patterns, understand changes, and appreciate the richness and complexity of human experience. Understanding the origins of history helps us appreciate its value in shaping our worldview. It reminds us that history is not just a record of the past, but a guide to understanding the present and shaping the future. It highlights the importance of every voice, every perspective in the creation of a comprehensive, inclusive narrative. So, as we continue our journey into the future, Let's keep these lessons in mind and strive to create a history that truly represents all of us. We hope this journey into the origins of history has been enlightening. The tapestry of time is complex and intricately woven, with each thread representing a story, an event, a civilization, an epoch. The concept of history is not just a record of past events, it's a mirror reflecting our collective consciousness, our triumphs and failures, our dreams and despair. Reflecting on this journey, we've traveled from the depths of prehistoric caves, where the earliest forms of storytelling took root, to the fertile valleys of ancient civilizations where the seeds of written history were sown. We've walked the streets of classical Greece, witnessing the birth of historiography, and sat in the grand halls of Roman historians, absorbing their accounts of empires and emperors. We've navigated the intellectual currents of the Renaissance and Enlightenment, witnessing the emergence of critical historiography and the questioning of traditional narratives. We've grappled with the complex methodologies of 19th and 20th century historians, marveling at the influence of social, economic, and cultural perspectives in shaping new historical narratives. We've traversed the challenging terrain of postmodernism, acknowledging the importance of diverse voices and perspectives in shaping a more inclusive history. And we've ventured into the digital age, where the recording and dissemination of historical information is being revolutionized. In this exploration, we've seen how the concept of history has evolved and continues to evolve, shaped by the changing perspectives of the societies that produce it. History is not static. It's a dynamic, living entity that grows and changes as we do. It's shaped by our questions, our curiosities, our need to understand who we are and where we come from. The importance of understanding the origins of history cannot be overstated. It's not just about knowing the past, but about understanding how our perceptions of the past shape our present and influence our future. Every civilization, every culture, every individual contributes a unique thread to the tapestry of history. And each thread, no matter how seemingly insignificant, has the potential to change the entire pattern. So as we conclude this journey, let's not see it as an end, but as a beginning of a deeper appreciation for the stories that have shaped our world, a beginning of a greater understanding of how our perceptions of these stories impact our worldview, a beginning of a lifelong exploration into the fascinating world of history. We are incredibly grateful for your engagement with this journey. Your curiosity, your questions, your insights, they enrich this exploration and make it more meaningful. This journey, like history itself, is a shared endeavor, a collective exploration into our past, our present, and our potential future. So let's keep questioning, keep exploring, keep seeking to understand. Let's continue to delve into the mysteries of the past, to unravel the complexities of the present, and to imagine the possibilities of the future. Let's continue to weave our own threads into the tapestry of history, adding our unique patterns to the grand design. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring the past to understand the present and shape the future.